Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's broadcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I want to ask how you guys are doing. How is your families? Those of you who are beginning to get back to everything, places where you already opened up, how are things going? Places that are about to open, how are you gearing up to open? Here in Canada, we've been opening up little by little. Worship places will open up, but that's not now, down the road. But please don't take this coronavirus thing for granted. We are not sure of what is going on. Um, we also sympathize with those who are grieving from all the deaths that happened within this period, and also we are sympathetic with the family of George Floyd in the U.S. And I won't say all those who are affected by his death, because we are all affected by his death, wherever we are. I did a video and I was castigating and I was dissing the people in Nigeria for doing a protest, and a lot of you uh, are not happy with me. You're like, why are you saying that? All over the world, people are protesting against police brutality in the US. But my point is that in Nigeria, when we call them to protest against so many things that are happening, you're talking about one person being killed in America, which should not be allowed, fine. But in Nigeria, hundreds are killed every day by police, by the military, by even road traffic personnel, and people don't, even the people don't come out to protest, and when something is happening far away in America where life is good for them, we jump out to protest. That's all that we were trying to say, so nobody should get us wrong. Now make sure you subscribe before we go very far, and click the notification bell. You see this thing here. Let me show you. See this one, this particular one here that you're seeing that keeps on up. You see this bell. To click on the bell, and the bell will shake. This thing will go in, and then a little finger will come and click on that bell. Make sure you click that bell so that you will get. It's all for free. They're not charging you any money, please, so that you'll get our notification every time we come on. It will come and tell you, even if you didn't put a reminder. That's why we tell you to click the notification bell. That is after you have already subscribed. All right. Today we have a special guest for you. His name is Apir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Nat on the line. Well, the network is like this,
All
like
right.
that. But please help me to welcome our special guest for today's uh, little chat, in the person of Mr. Nat Apir. He said, give me a call when network. Okay. Nat, can you hear me?
Very well, very well.
Awesome, awesome. Nat, please say hello to our viewers.
Hello, viewers.
Okay. Nat, whereabouts are you reaching us from? Oh, Jesus Christ. For sure, it's reaching us from a place where uh, it's difficult to make things to work. So it's even it takes a lot to for him to even get connected to us. And I appreciate the fact that he's even trying. The network is hopelessly ah, oh my goodness. What can we do? What can we do? People always ask us, hey, why are you guys not talking about this? Why are you not bringing this person? Now you can understand. We want to bring everybody that we think is important to the discussion that we are having right now. We want to bring them here, but it is difficult, very, very difficult to do that. We are trying. So, for those of you who keep wondering why we're not bringing everybody, now you see how difficult it is. It's important that we do these interviews because this is the first time we're having someone from the middle belt come online to talk to us, and that's why it was important because I wanted to get a perspective of what is going on in Nigeria from someone who is not an Igbo person, somebody who is not from the southeast or south or south middle or anything south. You get somebody who is from the middle. I wanted to be able to get his own perspective to these things because remember what I'm trying to do is to keep talking to get this conversation going so that it's not just what they tell us. We want to know we the people we want to be able to talk to ourselves and say this is what we want, this is what we don't want, this is how we perceive each other. Because when you know how somebody perceives you, you'll be able to understand the misconceptions they have about you, and you too will see the misconceptions you have about other people. That is that's the reason for this, and that's why I don't get frustrated. It's difficult not to get frustrated because you know you're doing everything right. You're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. On my phone, I've gone off my Wi-Fi. I have a very strong Wi-Fi because of what I do. That's the highest that the company can give, but that's what I have. But I also went off my Wi-Fi. Here I'm using my data, and still it's happening. So that's how I know that it's really not from here, and I don't know what else to do. But we have to have this conversation anyhow, anyhow. Okay, I tried to call on WhatsApp now, but it ain't happening. No, the thing ain't happening, man. You know what I mean? Gonna want a man, try to do an American, Canadian way when it's not walking. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I should just speak this my phone, or maybe it's this my phone self that is spoiling it. Hey, what are these people doing to me? Don't they know that as a chief like me, whenever I am trying to impact a knowledge of the situation back home, they shouldn't frustrate me. Yesterday they did the same thing. Today it's happening. Somebody somewhere, I'm beginning to think that somebody somewhere doesn't like what we're saying and what we're doing. So should we stop? Should we give up? Should we throw in the towel? I tried to put my brother on and speak to him directly, but that is not how it took. Do you know it took me four, actually, it took me 5 months to fix this interview with him. I'm telling you, 5 good months. Sometimes when you see somebody come online, it's taking a long, long time for that person to come here. And it's just a pity when it is now. And you, since the whole of yesterday, we've been calling, we've been setting up our equipment, we've done so many test transmissions because I'm sure somebody is saying, "Oh, you should have been prepared before you come online." We did all that. We did test transmissions. We did everything we could just to make sure that by the time we get online, we are ready. That's what we did. We just said, let's do all the tests. Everything worked. The Skype worked. The WhatsApp, everything. 10 minutes to this program, we did all that, and it worked. We set everything up as soon as it was time for the program. The funny thing is, everything just goes haywire. I don't know why. I'll just have to check again. Maybe it's from me. Maybe I don't know. There must be something, but we're gonna fix it. That I can assure you. We will fix it. I mean, we have to, because we must continue. Can't give up. Can't. My voice too is giving way, but I'm drinking warm water to try to keep it moisturized. Is there anything like keeping your voice moisturized? I don't know. Hydrated. Hydrated. What did I say? Keep my voice. You're calling is currently switched. Oh my god. I want to moisturize my voice. I'm moisturizing my voice with warm water. See, that is an original statement, and you heard it from me. You cannot use it without permission. Okay? Anybody that wants to use moisturizing of voice, you have to contact me first. If you don't, I will sue you. I'm placing another call. I want to see if it will come in. I don't know. The NPN number you're trying to call is currently switched off. Okay. Oh, dear. Guys, it's okay if you cannot stay for the if you cannot stay for this. It's okay. You can switch up. You can go. I will continue, and I will record the interview with him. That's what I'm going to do. So, I know some of you, unless you have Wi-Fi, um, unless you have Wi-Fi, you don't have to continue. The name Nigeria fake. Don't be deceived. Your country identity is Biafra, Dodo, Arewa, and Fulani. Support Biafra referendum. Biafra reporters. Hi. Display this picture. Yes, my people. That's what we're trying to do. Um, okay, I know what I'm going to do. We're going to end the program. I'll keep reaching out to Nat Apir, and once I get in touch with him, I'm going to record the interview, and I'll post it up, okay, and then we can take your comments from the video comment box, and I will bring it up for you guys. But just before I go, um, I'm just gonna pray. Miracles actually still happen, guys. We shouldn't just give up. I'm gonna place one last call and see if this will happen. Okay, so let's just ask God to help us. Okay. All right. I just said a very short prayer, and let's see if just before we shut down, you know, I live a public life, and you're not afraid of not afraid of doing anything. So I'll just place this call and see what happens. Then the Bible said, having done all things to stand. Okay, so um, just try this last time, and if we get him, we get him. If we don't, then we don't. Abi? Yeah. What can you do? What can you do? And sometimes when you pray, the answer to your prayer is no. So you also accept that as the answer to your prayer. It doesn't mean that all the time the answer, when you ask God for something, sometimes God says no. It is still an answer. You know, uh, answers from for your prayer is not always yes. So you prepare yourself for when the answer is yes and when the answer is no. Oh my goodness. You won't believe I was closing. This is very ridiculous. I was closing down the program, and then I just said, I'm going to give you this last call because I've been calling this number. So I said, I'll give you this last call, and miracles still happen. Okay. If you don't answer, anyways, I'm glad you answered. So thank you so much, Nat. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate every effort you have made to try to make this work. I really, really am very, very proud of you for not giving up. Thank you so
Thank
much, Nat. Thank you very, very much.
That's all right.
It is
That's all
none.
right.
It
That's
is
all right.
not your fault. It is not your fault at all. In fact, the fact that you kept
Yeah,
on,
and it's neither is it your fault.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
the fact that you kept on trying and trying is a testimony to your diehard nature, and I'm proud of you. Now,
Thank you
Nat,
so much.
yeah, for the benefit
Yeah.
of people who are listening, I would like you to go ahead and I know you, but I like when people introduce themselves. So, tell us who Nat Apir is.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity, Dr. Chidi. I'm not a P, an engineer by training. I had worked with Coca-Cola in Nigeria as the National Maintenance Systems Manager.
Mm.
I retired from Coca-Cola after meritorious years of service. I headed systems engineering. I was a plant engineer in Ibadan, Enugu, Apapa, Ikeja, and a production manager in Onitsha, and the plant manager of the Coke factory in Kaduna. Before I was promoted to the position of National Maintenance Systems Manager, from where I retired.
Okay.
And presently, I'm into private business as a total productive manufacturing consultant.
Okay. Now this is from the professional side. We still want to know.
Right? Yes.
We want to know, like, if we don't know who you are, we've never heard about you. I want to know,
Yes.
what is it that makes Nat?
Yes.
Who Nat is? Where did you come from? Did you drop from the sky? Were you born in Buckingham Palace? Were you?
I was born in Zaria. I was born in Zaria, Kaduna State,
Okay.
and I did my schooling there, and in Ida also, and had some trainings at the Lagos Business School in finance, supply chain, and all that. And then I've been an activist. Activist in the sense that fighting out there for justice for the oppressed, for poor governance, and all of these issues. Even whilst I was with Coca-Cola, I was the president of the Senior Staff Association
Okay,
for
before
about
we
two
go there,
terms.
before we go
Yeah,
there, where are you from? Where is your origin?
I am from Benue State. I'm a Tiv man from Benue State, from Gwe local government precisely in Benue State.
Oh, you're a thief man.
Yes, from Benue State. Yes.
Opande nana.
Hey, kwa upande didoga.
Msu kwishi.
Boso.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yes.
uh,
All right, Nat. So tell us how was your childhood like? The thing that we're asking all these questions is, when we're able to understand where you're coming from, it helps us
yeah.
to also understand how you became who you are today. Because some people, when we're able to trace
Mm,
their origin, sometimes we can't relate it with whom they became. So that's why it is
yeah.
important to go back and see where you're coming from. So kind of take us
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
your you don't have to give us a lot of details, just your early childhood, what molded
Yeah.
your upbringing, yeah, and what got you into being an activist.
Mm. Like I said earlier, I was born in Zaria,
Mhm.
and at a very early age, I lost my father in Zaria.
Okay.
I had just completed my primary school, was about going into high school when I lost my father,
Oh. Mhm.
and The experience was quite very traumatic and harrowing
Okay.
because my uncle came over to Zaria, collected all of my father's entitlements,
Wow.
and just put us on a train from Zaria back to Benue to Makodi, and took us straight to the village.
Wow.
And right there at the village, you can imagine that having never been there, not being born there,
Mm-hmm.
and then for the first time, I and my siblings, we found ourselves in an environment where there was no electricity, there was no water, there was no decent toilets, facilities, nothing of the sort.
Mm-hmm.
And we began to ask ourselves, how did we get to this place? This is cruel. And to make matters worse, he gave us one thatched hut, just one thatched hut, for my mother and 7 of my other siblings, including me,
Ah.
9 of us in a thatched hut. And he was using our father's money to do quite a lot of things, feeding his family with it, and left us out there in the cold. So we went through this experience. During this time, I was able to secure admission into high school, and the man practically did not contribute a dime to my education or that of my siblings. And I began to experience that kind of injustice, that kind of unfair treatment being meted out to me at that age, through no fault of mine, only because I had lost my father. And it was not as though my father did not leave some assets and some monies for us. No, he did. But my uncle appropriated everything to himself and left us out in the cold. At that point, I began to do menial jobs to pay my way through school and all that. I would sell people, would sell okra, would go work in the grinding mill with my siblings in order for us to pay our way through school. And that was what formed some kind of like, what is this? Let me not allow this happen to some people. So anywhere there is injustice, I am drawn to it to see how it can be addressed, how it can be resolved, so that people don't suffer unnecessarily. Because I've been through it, I went through it, and I know how painful, how harrowing it was for me and my siblings. And so these are some of the things that formed my core values for fighting against injustice and made me take up activism as a way of life, not as a profession.
Yeah, now you can see clearly. I never knew this about you. Before I never knew this about you. We never even discussed anything about your
Yeah,
upbringing or what we're going to discuss on the show. The reason I do this is because I
yeah,
like my interviews to be as raw as possible. Because if I prime you, then you see you didn't really know where we're going to go, but you can see clearly
exactly.
that by the story that you tell us, we will be able to know,
Mm,
because there are wannabe activists. There are people who just drop from the
very true.
sky, just like the people who are
Mm,
protesting against police brutality in America, in Nigeria. You,
mm,
you can
mm,
understand.
mm,
You see. So,
yeah.
but when we hear you talk about your story, when we see
Mm,
where you're coming from, even you can
mm,
understand why you are the way you are. Because that
very well.
experience you had growing up,
Yeah.
nobody can teach you
Mm,
injustice anymore. Nobody
that's
can
right.
teach you activism, what it means to feel pain.
Yeah,
You see
that's
where,
right.
so it's important that you relate this story to us. Now, you are one
Mm,
of the founding members of Muffle. Please explain to
yes.
us the meaning of Muffle and what Muffle was all about.
Muffle came into being, actually took to the streets in 2016.
Now, what's the meaning
And
of Mafo to start with?
Muffle is movement against Fulani occupation.
Mm.
Now we've been having Fulani attacks, if you recall, all over the country. But Benue, Kaduna, Plateau, Taraba, Nasarawa, Anambra, Enugu, Delta, and Edo and some states in the southwest have also been experiencing these herdsmen terrorist attacks. And so a pastor by the name Edward Doga, who is late now, conceived of this idea and came up with the idea of MAF. He was based in Lagos.
Mm-hmm.
And he now got in touch with me and several others. We were friends on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Then we came together. He came in from Lagos, took a leave of absence from his ministerial work, came over to Makerde, and we started holding Mafo meetings in my house, and planning strategies of how to tackle this Fulani herdsmen invasion, killings, arsoning, and rapings of our people. And the attacks began to be heightened. And we began to get worried also that, look, we cannot just be writing on the pages of newspapers, appearing on television stations and speaking on these things, or going to radio houses and speaking on these things. So we decided, we drafted a law. Actually, the current anti-open grazing law in Benue is our brainchild. We drafted it, and on the day we were going to submit it to the State Assembly, we staged a protest in Makerde, all over the town. And we went to the State Assembly, we presented a copy of our draft bill to them. They received it, and then we marched to Government House, and we presented another copy to the government. And then we left and allowed them to go through it and review and see whether it was possible, whether it was going to be functional. It took them almost 1 year to bill, and we began to get agitated. We write to them, nothing was coming forth. Then in October again, we took to the streets in Makerde. We literally shut down Makerde. We started protesting. Police were trying to harass us. DSS was on our team and all that. But we prevailed. And the following year, we got them to the State Assembly. Now had 3 zonal hearings representing the 3 senatorial districts in Benue, Zone A, B, and C. They conducted public hearings where individuals came and made their presentations and contributions to the bill. Subsequently, they went back and sat on it, deliberated on it, and passed it into law, passed the bill, and it was transmitted to the state governor, who signed it into law. So all of what you see happening here in terms of this anti-open grazing law is the brainchild of Muffle. Muffle was at the forefront of fighting against this Fulani occupation. We've staged several protests. We went to the Human Rights Court in West Africa. We filed a case against the Nigerian government. We won that case. We filed another case against them at the Human Rights Commission. The Human Rights Commission was supposed to investigate, but you know the Nigerian factor. Not much was done as regarding our case with the National Human Rights Commission. But the West African Human Rights Court awarded the judgment in our favor. But of course, you know, these things are not enforceable because of the limitations of these courts.
Mm.
but it was a moral victory for us.
Mm-hmm.
That is Muffle. We secured a moral victory against the government. It is documented that what the Fulanis are doing across the country was actually ethnic cleansing bordering on genocide.
Okay.
So to that extent,
Mm.
we Muffle, I should say, was able to achieve a very huge milestone in the fight against Fulani herdsmen terrorists across east the country.
Okay. And now I hear after that time a lot has happened, but there's also a new group right now that is called New Day Reformation Agenda. Tell me about that and where you guys are today with what is happening in the Middle Belt, because apart from the the Fulani occupation, Fulani occupation of the lands in the Middle Belt, a lot has happened since then. A lot of the killings actually continued. It has gotten
They're
worse
still
now.
going on. It's still going on up till today.
So
It's
let's
still
talk
going on.
about today. What? Tell me about this New Day Reformation agenda.
The New Day Reformation agenda,
Mm.
we came together just about 3-4 weeks ago.
Okay.
We were interested in introducing reforms
Mm-hmm.
politically, structurally in the country.
Okay.
The way Nigeria is structured at the moment, it's not sustainable because the center is too powerful.
Mm.
And the center, being too powerful, decides on policies based on who is the occupant of the office of the president, where he comes from. And the states and the regions are basically like parastatals and agencies to the federal government.
Mm.
There is no devolution of powers or true federalism as it ought to be, because we're a federal republic, but it is only in name. The government that we have in place is unitary government. It has nothing to do with federalism. So the New Day Reformation agenda is how to see how we can create alliances with groups and peoples of like mind, so that we can have a collective voice and agitate on these issues, these vexatious issues of domination, of revenue sharings, of marginalization, and denial of political space to certain groups because of where they come from. So we are currently working on this agenda, and within the next couple of weeks or a month's time, we will be fully up and running.
All right, my brother. Thank you so much. Now, Nat, I'm gonna get a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a little bit raw with my argument. When I say
Go
raw,
ahead.
I'm gonna call things by their name and what it is. Now, and
Very well.
I am confident that as an activist, you're already prepared for anything. Now,
Go ahead.
you are from Benue State. You are from the Middle Belt, and
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
coming up with an agenda or a proposal that is supposed to reach out to people, because when you say even with Muffle, you said against Fulani occupation of lands in the Middle Belt and the East. Now,
Yeah.
I am an Igbo man, and I have
Right.
lived in Benue State. I have a lot of friends, people that are dear to my heart, that are from Benue State, from Boko. In fact, the people who sponsored, like when you're having your wedding and you have your sponsor, you have
Yeah. Sponsor. Yeah.
a couple as as your sponsor. The guys who were our sponsor and who are like parents to us, godparents to us today, um, Pastor Dr. Imande and architect Mrs. Imande. They are very dear to us up
Okay.
to today. So, and
Okay.
there's so many
Yeah.
people that are my friends. My auntie in church those days was Auntie Helen. I still hold her in high esteem. But the bottom line I'm trying to say is that the average Igbo man does not trust a TV
Mm.
man. The average Igbo man or somebody
Yeah.
from the east still holds it against people of the middle belt as the people who actually fought the war for Nigeria, the Biafra war for Nigeria. And so I
Mm.
want you to speak to this notion or to this thing that is there. Unless somebody doesn't want to face facts, you cannot deny that
Mm.
it exists. So let me hear from
Yeah.
you what you know about that civil war and the feelings that the average Igbo man or people of the east or southeast, what they think about that war.
Yes. That civil war was quite unfortunate. I think about 3 million Igbos lost their lives in that civil war. Now, the story to that civil war, how and why the Tiv people became very strong and to some extent dominant in the army at the time, that's the fighting soldiers, not at the officer cadre level, is because during the war, the chief of army staff was a Tiv man, Colonel Joe Akahan, and Colonel Akahan began to recruit young Tiv boys into the army. There was no agenda to go and commit crimes, war crimes, or genocide against the Igbo. They just saw this as an opportunity to have a job to do. Unfortunately, it was a use and dump theory that was employed by the northern oligarchy. And the Tiv were at the forefront of fighting that war because the average Tiv man is a very brave man, very courageous man, very bold in all that he does. Unfortunately, Colonel Akahan was killed somewhere around Boko, at Wanune in a helicopter crash. I can tell you that the bulk of the fighting force of Tiv extraction was demoralized at that point. And they wanted to rebel, but they had no arrowhead. As you know very well, we don't have a lot of our people, or we didn't have a lot of our people at the officer cadre at that time. And so, because there was no arrowhead, the war went on, and up till about 1970 when the war ended. Quite honestly, the average Igbo man has every reason and every right to feel betrayed, to feel that it is the Tiv that were responsible for that. And I have always, with some of my friends who have agitated for a meeting where we can have a reconciliatory meeting and say, look, these were not the issues really. We were also used, just like they've continued to use every other part of the ethnic group or nationality in this country towards achieving their aims.
So
It is quite unfortunate.
let me ask you this: if you were standing,
Yeah.
if you were standing in a meeting, if you were standing in a meeting,
Yeah.
and there were just a big like they have this village gathering, and it was in the village square,
Yeah.
and there were Igbo elders gathered, and there
Mm.
were youths, not village gathered representing Igbo people from all extraction, representing people of the southeast. A lot of people who still have this
Mm.
deep pain from their losses in the war.
Yeah.
And you were in the middle of that group, and you were to address them right now. What would you say?
Yeah. Firstly, I will take responsibility and apologize for all that was done, because I believe that is the first step towards healing and reconciliation. There is no other way to address that issue without taking responsibility and apologizing for what happened. This is a responsibility that we all must carry. And I will then in turn ask them to forgive what was done to them by the Tiv and some other minorities within the Middle Belt. so that we can move the country forward. I know it is not going to be easy, but we must find a common ground because we are still faced with the challenges that triggered off the Civil War in 1966. So we need to come together now. We are all victims of the Nigerian system and the Nigerian state. Unfortunately, we were used, but we have to definitely apologize and take responsibility for what our fathers, our forebearers did to the Igbo nation.
Thank
That
you.
is what I will address.
Thank you very much, my brother. Um, a lot of people once they cross Ubolafo and they start
Yeah,
going up and they cross into Benue State, they just say that they're
yeah.
in the north. They just regard it as the north. Some people even say thief man and they say this Hausa man, these Hausa people. Tell us
Yes.
distinctively, tell us distinctively what you know about the relationship between the thief man, the Hausa man, and the Fulani feudal lords in the north. What is the identify the thief man in all of this so that it can make it clearer? Because some people just throw a blanket and they say northerners and they throw in the thief man and say all these people, all this what these northerners are doing. I need you to help to be able to paint a
Yeah.
picture so that we understand the position of the TV man in all of this. Let's know if the TV man is
Yeah.
enjoying it or if there are things that he is facing. Let us know and let us know who is perpetrating all of these things.
The thief is distinct. It's a distinct ethnic group of the Bantu nationality. We have nothing in common with the Hausas. We have nothing in common with the Fulanis. As a matter of fact, the thief population, you will not, maybe you will find 0.6 or 5% that are Muslims in thief land. And these are people that maybe went to sojourn in the north and got converted through one way or the other. But I can tell you that 99.04% of thieves were Christians and animists and all that. We have nothing in common with them. We don't speak the same language. If a thief man is speaking outside, it's just because he learned it just like we learned how to speak English.
Mm.
So we have nothing in common with them. We don't. We are not Muslims. We are for 99.9% a Christian state, and the Middle Belt not located anywhere in the north. This is the central region of Nigeria. So when they call it North Central, it is also misleading. Secondly, you would have noticed that there is no federal presence in Benue State as compared to the other parts in the north. And that is, you see, the same challenge the people in the plateau are facing. They are minorities, they are Christians. What you have there are Hausa Fulani settlers, and then you have them also in southern Kaduna. You have them in Nasarawa, in Taraba State. These are minority states, central region of Nigeria. We are all faced with these challenges. If you look at appointments that successive governments that have come from the north have been making, we are all victims of the discrimination based on where we come from. We are not afforded the same opportunities as those in the far north. We are not allowed into certain places, institutions, and all that. So we are definitely on the fringe as far as the northern oligarchy is concerned, the northern ruling houses are concerned. We are just appendages. We are just people they can use when they want to use us to fight their dirty wars or engaging in some particular shenanigans. Hence the need for us to have dialogue outside the normal dialogue that has been going on between the northern elements, the middle belt elements, and the Afeniferi and the other one in the southeast and the south. We've been meeting and looking at these issues. You understand?
Yeah.
will be meeting and having these conversations. But then, the tone and the direction that some of us want this conversation to take, it is not going along those lines. And hence, we are thinking of new alliances and new alignments so that we'll be able to say, hey, this is it. Recently, they came up with political appointments that have been made by President Buhari. It is the Southeast and the Middle Belt that was the most disenfranchised, the most cheated in all of the appointments that he made. I think the Southeast had about either less than 10%, and the North Central had 11% only. And all the other regions, they had huge numbers. So you see, whichever way you look at it, politically we are being disenfranchised. Economically we are not being empowered. And so we need to look at these things and say, hey, look, this is not the way to go. But definitely we have nothing in common with the House of Fulani. Absolutely nothing in common. We're distinct people. We speak a distinct language. Unless they also learn how to speak it, they cannot speak it. Just like I have to learn how to speak Igbo, else I won't be able to speak it. Because that's to the extent to which, yes, the distinctiveness is in our group.
Okay, so you learned how to speak some Igbo.
Well, but I've forgotten because this is almost 14, 15 years ago.
So, Kanu.
When I left Enugu in 2004.
Okay, so let me
of the 9 Mile Factory.
Let me give you some. Let me try you. Kedu.
Adema.
At least you got that one.
At least, yes, I can't forget that one.
Okay. Now, you know Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes, very well.
So
I've been reading about him. We've not met,
okay.
But I've been reading about him. I've been following his activities on the social media.
So tell me,
mainstream media.
Tell me your impression of Nnamdi Kanu and where he's taking his agitation to.
Yeah, the agitation is right, but the strategy is wrong.
Okay.
Here's why I say the agitation is right, because the Southwest has been agitating for autonomy. You understand?
Yeah.
The Southwest actually started this restructuring talk of Nigeria. You know, They've been at it for a very long time. They've been agitating that, look, we have to restructure this country, devolve power from the center back to the regions or to the states.
Mm-hmm.
And but they have not been doing this violently. They've been very vocal. They've been agitating. They have decided to form a bloc. So you notice that during elections, what happens is a bloc vote that they give to any political party that they think will further their interests. Now, the agitation by Kanu is okay, like I said, but the strategy is wrong, because I see a repeat of the mistake of 1966. That's why I said we need to create alliances. You would have noticed that right now, any move to agitate or stage a protest is met with maximum force by the Nigerian state and our security agencies.
Mm.
And the other regions feel unconcerned, they are detached, they come out and just offer some limping jejune condemnations and all that, and then nobody takes the whole thing seriously. So I think there is a need on the part of Kanu to re-strategize, because as it is now, we cannot use violence or force to create our regions the way we would want them. We need others to team up. Let's come together and have a common strategy, so that if it starts in the Southeast, it will also be simultaneously going on in the Middle Belt Middle Belt, and maybe the Southwest. We need to create these alliances.
But
the agitation is nothing different from what the Southwest has been agitating for restructuring of this country.
But Kanu, right now, Kanu is not agitating for restructuring. he's agitating for an outright state of Biafra.
My use of a structure can be seen from the prism of semantics. You understand?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when power is devolved, when the country is restructured, you recall this was a structure in 1960 before the military guys came in and disrupted the whole system. You would recall that every region was developing at her own pace and contributing little for defense and foreign affairs to the center, and nothing else to do with the center. And so, whichever way we look at it, whether dismembering of the country, carving up and creating states is the way to go, we will have conversation around those issues. But we have experimented with regional governments before, and they were very, very successful. There was competition between the regions on who will be the most advanced and developed region. I have this hunch that if that arrangement was allowed to thrive over a period of time, I think we wouldn't have found ourselves in the current situation that we found ourselves in, where nothing, absolutely nothing is working in this country, where the center just sits there and appropriates the money, you don't know where it goes to, and then some few people, particularly from the far north of this country, appropriate these things. You don't see where it is invested. You don't see any improvement in the quality of lives of the citizens. So we can have a conversation around that.
Okay.
But that regional arrangement was strong.
All right. After right now, there are movements of people in droves. First of all, when they announced that Nigerians' borders were open to anybody from Africa. Okay, that was a camouflage for a deeper announcement. There was a hidden message in that announcement, and shortly after that, there were videos that popped up of people just streaming into Nigeria, just streaming. No, police did not disturb them. Nobody, they didn't even carry much load, just walking into Nigeria casually. No, government didn't respond. Nobody said anything about it. Customs, immigration didn't defend it. That one passed. Nobody monitored where these people ended up in. All of a sudden, we started seeing people. First, it started with an announcement that our marjories were being posted to different states to stop the spread of coronavirus. Then the first people we saw were children. A few of them scattered here and there. Governors said they were sending them back to their states. But immediately after those initial sighting of children who were purportedly Almajiris, what we started seeing were full-grown men, well-fed men, not looking hungry. They are very confident. They were not looking harassed. When they are not afraid of the security people, when you ask them questions, they just keep quiet. They don't say anything. And we saw trailers upon trailers upon trailers going down south of people like this. Now, in the light of all these attacks that have been happening in Benue and in so many parts of the country, and recently what we are hearing is that in the southeast, by yesterday when I was having an interview with the chairman, the board chairman of World Igbo Congress, he revealed that information they have is that about 362 or so communities have these people camped in them. What do you think is the best approach? Do you think it is this diplomatic dialogue? Because these people, they are an imminent and present danger. What do you think is the way to go about it?
We're having the same challenges in Benue. We have mounted roadblocks across all entry points from the north into Benue. We've been conducting thorough searches sometimes on these vehicles, but our security people, Once you give them 1,000 naira, 1,000 naira, allow trucks to go past. A couple of days ago, a Dangote truck was stopped at a checkpoint, and quite a large number of these guys were found locked inside, and they were taken out. The truck has been impounded, and these guys will be shipped back to where they came from. That's not the first one. We have taken a proactive measure in Benue. We have been shipping them out. The first incident was this group of people were discovered in one part of Makodi where we call Wandata, and they were brought in and housed in a location there. And people came up to say, look, we're seeing strange kids in this place, and they don't seem to know their way around and all that. And the state government moved in, arrested the man that brought them in, and these young kids Almajiris were shipped back to where they came from. This is an ongoing exercise. We've been doing this. Diplomatic means of resolving these things will not work. So my recommendation or advice would be that as soon as they are located, they should be shipped back to where they came from. These guys are going to be used as sleeper cells. So when an attack is eventually launched by these so-called Fulani headsmen, which they are not, they are a militia. When these attacks are going to be launched, they're going to use these guys who are already on ground as sleeper cells.
So Nat, this is where I have a problem. When you say ship them back, you and I know very well that the system that we have in Nigeria is not able to ship these people back and contain them, because for one, you are shipping them back back to the people who ship as soon as even that's I was telling them. I cannot guarantee you that our people will follow them all the way from, because you have to follow them with escort now, and you have to fuel your car, you have to fuel their own truck, you have to pay the personnel to escort them back, making sure that they don't come out of that trailer till they get all the way from Sokoto to Lagos. Our people will not do it. Then when you keep them, when you send them back to Sokoto, are you going to sit down with them in Sokoto? You are not going to be able to enforce that in Sokoto there or Kanu. Once you leave, these people will be put into another trailer and sent back to us. So what and
this is exactly what is happening.
Okay,
it's exactly what you have just narrated is happening.
Exactly, and then
now I agree with you.
I'm coming happy. And now we mount the roadblocks on the road, the major road. But these guys, the major road is one route, and that's what we do. We mount a roadblock and we stay around that roadblock because we don't even trust the bushes. And these guys fight guerrilla warfare. They will beat you hands down inside the bush. These guys, as you are mounting that roadblock, one roadblock, they have 200 other footpaths in the bush they use to cross. That's what they actually do. What they actually do is they know where the roadblock is because the roadblock has been there for weeks. Once the driver gets to, like, even if it is 1 kilometer to the roadblock, he will stop. All of them will jump down. He will cross empty and he will go and wait for them. They will all go through the bush and reconvene, and he will continue. So we're not even waiting for when these cells are activated. We have started seeing killings all over the place. They have started killing. They are killing. We found them in Ebonyi killing.
They killed 15 people in Obi local government in my state last week.
They killed
15 people.
Just yesterday.
In Benue State, Obi local government.
Okay, so that's we are at a, and that's why when you see somebody like Nnamdi Kanu going about his business the way I'm not holding forth for him, but I'm just trying to say we need to do something more drastic. They say desperate times require desperate measures. You cannot keep on doing the same thing that you were doing yesterday and did not work, and you expect a different result. So I am like, what are we going to, I know it's just that there are certain things we cannot say on air, but I have lived in Benue.
Yeah,
I
that's
know
right.
Benue State has been a hot spot. You fight your inter-tribal, inter this war. There's been so much going on in Benue State, killings upon killings upon killings.
Mm,
So with this thing that is
mm.
spreading all over the place, I think we should be looking at other measures because see, sorry, I'm talking too much. This is your interview,
No,
but
go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead. Go
but
ahead.
but see, we are dealing with a system that will not open their mouth to say that these are terrorists. We're dealing with a government.
Of course, they will not do that.
Exactly, we're dealing with a government that sees these
They
people.
will not. The government has never come out to condemn Fulani killings across the country. I've not heard them.
And we see the Fulani headsmen carrying automatic rifles, walking all over the place, and you don't,
Yes.
and you say the vigilante men should surrender their local made pistol or their double barrel gun that if they shoot to, you understand?
Yeah.
It's only a tree. Our people have a proverb. It's only a tree that you walk up to it with an axe, and you prepare, you sharpen the axe, and you're going to cut it down, and the tree will stand there until you cut it down. If a human being sees you coming with an axe, sharpening the axe, even if nothing, they will use stick to defend themselves. So we are not
Very
just
true.
we are not just thinking about this. They are upon us right now as we speak. What should we do to defend ourselves?
Yes. You're right. You see, when the borders were opened for all characters from different countries to come in without vetting, without checking whether they had criminal records or whether they were coming from ISIS West Africa, whether they were coming from Fulani Malian terrorist rebel groups, there was no such check. And the idea behind opening of the border is that the present government of Muhammadu Buhari wants to make Nigeria the state for Fulanis of West Africa. All of the Fulanis of West Africa have been told to be prepared to take over Nigeria as their home state. And that is why you have this open border thing. And then we have that very dubious provision in the section of the Constitution that says people are free to move about freely and reside anywhere they so wish. It is not for the interest of the rest of us, because if somebody from, let me say, from the southeast wants to go trade in Kanu, he buys land. If he wants to farm, he buys land. If he wants to sell, he buys land. Same with my people here. They go to some parts of the north. If they want to farm, they pay for land. They're allowed to farm for a season or thereabouts. But these guys just come in and find a place and settle there, take over people's farmland, take over people's backyard, take over people's forest without any identification, nothing of the sort. You see, the way to go about this, like I said, some of these things we will not be talking them on air, because we need to sit back and have a strategy that this agitation is not localized only to the southeast, if you understand my point.
Yeah.
It means we should have alliances that at the end of the day, it should be a kind of a simultaneous action that cuts across boundaries that are beyond just the southeast, if you understand what I'm saying. Because at the end of the day, these guys pose, like you rightly observed, an existential threat to the rest of us in this country. We have been paying the price for this over the years, where they come in, burn down communities, raze down our homes, burn down banks, burn down schools and hospitals. To this day, there are some communities that are still being occupied by Fulanis, and they are not willing to leave. At the end of the day, look at the debts that Nigeria is incurring. Ask yourself, where is this money going to? These guys are building a financial war chest. The assumption on their part is that they have captured political power. What they now want to do is to acquire wealth, whether through legal means or illegal means. Why is this government borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and borrowing? They need money to prepare their people for the takeover of this country. And so we need to have a strategy that will counter their strategy And this must not be localized to just Nnamdi Kanu going ahead with this. He must create alliances. We must have alliances. We must look. People are ready to take on these guys, but no, we cannot do it here alone. They will overrun us. You look at an example in the southeast. Every 1 kilometer there's a checkpoint. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
You see the customs, you see the police, you see the anti-terrorist police, you see the army, you see Navy. Every 1 kilometer from when I was in Enugu driving to Onitsha, sometimes I will count more than 10 checkpoints. This is just rough numbers, and this is 100 and so kilometers from Enugu to Onitsha.
No, that is a very no. I thought you were even talking about 9 miles to Enugu. Enugu to Onitsha. What are you? You're talking about like 60 checkpoints. I'm not kidding you. Of course.
I understand. So to deal with this issue, it's a potent threat. To deal with this issue, like I said earlier on, we need to create alliances. Kanu must, of necessity, move out of just the southeast. Come and talk to people across some of these areas, because people are ready to say, look, for us in Benue, at some point there was an agitation that if this country was going to be split, we were not going to go with the north. We would rather go with the southeast as a state in the southeast. People were already meeting these talks. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But who do we go and start talking to? Ohaneze Ndigo is made up of old people who will not want to go and start doing some of these things that the young people are agitating for. You will notice when the young people troop out in the streets to observe Biafra Day or to protest or to say this is our day, they mow them down. Do these people come out to even condemn it? No. Because of a psychological trauma, an injury that was inflicted on the Igbo in the 60s. This young generation did not go through that, and so they don't have any encumbrances. They feel, look, this injustice, we are witnessing it. How do we address it? And to avoid a repeat of what happened in 1966, where it was seen that it was an Igbo insurrection that must be put down, where minorities were recruited to rise against the Igbo, we must avoid that path. We must now create alliances. Everybody is feeling the pinch and the pain. We fought the war. Makudi has the biggest military air force base in this country. With the longest tarmac, it has been abandoned. They have gone to build air force bases in various states in the north.
My brother, when you just
base with the longest summer. So
I know.
Have these challenges. People are asking these questions. So we need to create alliances. We need to sit down and have a strategy. Look, our people are not cowards, just like the Igbo man. But the Nigerian state has oppressed and suppressed the Igbo voice, and by extension, the Igbo spirit.
Yes.
Which is what Kanu is trying to wriggle the Igbo nation out of. But his strategy must be redefined and reworked upon.
Okay. You just made me remember NASME with nostalgia. I remember going into NASME, the officers there. That's NASME.
Yes.
What's the full meaning now in Makodi?
Nigerian School of Military Engineering.
Yes. I remember, and the Air Force and all of those things. It's so sad to hear that all that has been abandoned. I also remember those days going to Jos and the beautiful scenery, the hill station, hotel, all of that. I hear that all of those places are no longer, since they started.
They are no longer there. The most beautiful market in Jos.
Yes, Jos market. I remember that. I remember the Motna, the museum, and all those beautiful places.
Yes.
Everything is just.
So our economy has been destroyed totally in the Middle Belt.
I know.
Because we're farmers.
I know.
We're farmers.
I know. Anyways.
So we're struggling to rebuild our economy, and it is becoming very difficult. Like I told you, they killed 15 people in Obi local government last week. 15. Now the people have deserted their villages. This is the cropping season.
I know. Let me tell you this thing. When I was in Boko, of course, I've always been a hustler. I was still serving as a youth copper I hadn't even
Mm.
finished my youth service.
Mm.
When I went there, I saw that there
Mm.
was tomato business. So we keyed into tomato
Yeah.
business. I will follow the small small. We'll go with the small small vehicles. I will go right inside the
Mm.
bushes. You know, you have to wake up around 3 4 a.m. You go inside the bushes. You
That's
go
true.
and
That's true.
collect the small small tomatoes basket, then come out,
Yeah.
then they load it in the big 911 and then send it to the
Trucks.
east.
Yeah.
I used
That's
to
right.
marvel at acres and acres of farmland, and not even
Very
mechanized
well.
farming. These people have to till the ground by
You, of
themselves,
course,
but
yes.
acres and
Exactly.
acres, large farmland. And look
Yes.
at, anyways, um, when you, let's talk about the Nigerian youth, and then you will tell me. Let's start by telling me what you think about Omoyele Showore. I'm sure you know Omoyele Showore and you followed him.
Yeah,
And
I've been reading about him. I follow him on the social media. I had a phone conversation with him at some point
okay,
when he was contesting. One of his aides is my friend,
okay,
and he linked us up. I had a phone conversation with him.
mm-hmm.
And sure, Omoyele is an activist, and one of the things that I know about him is dogged.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, very dogged in the pursuit of his vision, his ideals, and what he believes in.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, people want to see consistency. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
People want to see that you are consistent in your values.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't want to see you fighting for the liberation of a people, and then you are hobnobbing in clandestine manner, clandestine way with the same people that we are saying, I mean, they are oppressing us. We want to see that if we're going to have an engagement or an interface with these people, it should be open and transparent.
Okay, what
So
can
that
you be
people can.
more specific, because you know me, I like to call things the way they are. I've been with Moyele Shore. I work closely with him. We're friends, and
Yeah.
so my relationship with him
There
has,
is this feeling that
yeah.
there is this feeling, and a very strong feeling as that at some point he comes across like an agent of the Nigerian state.
How
So we cannot
how
really place. Now, here's the thing.
good,
You know, during the Shagari, no, the Yaradua era,
yeah,
he was always in the news, feeding us with what was happening in Aso Rock and all that. You will remember,
yes,
with pictures and all that.
yeah,
Now, when this Buhari man came on,
yeah,
we were not sure of where he stood, because it would seem to me that he was supporting Buhari from the background, owing to some primordial reasons, maybe because the South was fully behind Buhari or something.
mm.
You know, that's my feeling.
uh,
So we began to think that in the 2015 election, that he was actually a mole, or that he was compromised.
okay,
This was the feeling amongst in my group, particularly during that 2015 elections.
oh,
But
okay, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
2019, we began to see him change. We began to see him come out and try to really say, look, I'm interested in the presidency. And he went around the country, no doubt. But at the end of the day, he did not, he didn't have a solid strategy on ground. So going around the country has created an awareness about who he is and his person. And very recently, these are the issues he had with the government, where he's been locked up and quarantined in Abuja for now. His people are beginning to say, okay, maybe he's learned his lessons and he's coming back to be with the people. Otherwise, his outing during the 2015 elections, people were particularly not happy with some of his activities and all that. And but on the whole, I think we all make mistakes, and we try to correct them. If we are working in a group, attention is drawn to certain issues that will affect the group, I think it will be honorable to accept, and so that we move on. But As a person, I think he's been a committed activist right from his university days. He
Oh,
stood with Abiola. He was right by his side. He did quite a lot. He's had to run into exile. I respect all those. But then 2015 was what really gave some of us some goose pimples, his activities in 2015.
okay, the thing is, just like I don't hold brief for Nnamdi Kanu because he's able to hold brief for himself.
Yeah.
Moele Shore, I can't hold brief for him too because he is well and
Yeah.
able. People who can speak for themselves, I try not to speak for them, but I can also, um, like, these are people I hold in high esteem. I can,
I understand.
uh, I'm trying to use the right word. They are
Mm.
responsible for their actions, but I can speak
Very
for
well.
what I know about them because I've been with them,
Right.
especially Omoyele
Very
Shore.
well.
What I would advise, because it
Yeah.
seems to me like, I mean, you have seen him passively or read about him passively. I think it is important, and that is the essence of having these talks. And that's why I say, look, I like
Yeah.
to call things the way they are. I perceive that
Yeah.
you really don't know so much about him. It will be important to go back a little bit, just step back a little bit and study a little bit more about Omoyele Shore. Then you would speak with
Right.
some, yeah, because everybody, even you, some people are, now that we put you on this show, a lot of people are going to know about you and they're going to say one thing
Yeah.
casually, and that's why I had to
That's
bring
very
out
true.
some points. Some of these points that I had to bring out from you, I had to do that
Mm.
so it places you in a better light with people. So concerning Omoyele
Yeah.
Shore, I know there are things you don't know, and it will be nice if you go and study about him. So since this interview is not about
Very
him,
well.
I'm going to leave it there. But I know Omoyele Shore is somebody who is very trustworthy. He is highly
Very well.
misunderstood. I remember
Yeah.
at a point, in fact, I regard him as a mentor too. At a point, I had
Mm.
complained to him what I was
Mm.
facing, concerning, once you put yourself out there, you face a lot of backlash. You
Yeah.
face a lot of people misunderstanding you.
Very
And I
true.
was like, hey, how do you deal with this thing? I know what he told me. He said, Chidi, as
Mm.
long as you're out there and from time to time you criticize people, you bash them, you call them
Mhm.
names,
Mhm.
you attack them, that as long as you do these
Mm.
things, you must have a tough skin to also
Yeah.
absorb the same thing from people. So he said it just
Very true.
suck it up. That it comes with the environment. So he takes these
Yeah.
things. He says as long as you're consistent, and you talked about it, one of these days, people will look at you and they say, maybe we were wrong, and that is what has been happening with Omoyele
Yeah.
Shore. A case in point is
Mhm.
his participation in 2015. He has said this several times, even on our show, that he
Mm.
has attacked, and if you look, that's why I say you should study him a little bit more. Every government that has
Fine.
been there, if you check Sahara reporters, they have attacked that government, they have
Yeah.
written against that government. There's a part that people
Mm.
fail to recognize in Jonathan's government, that when
Mm.
Yaradua when Yaradua was suffering and actually lifeless, and the government
Yeah.
was not talking about it, Sahara reporters were the people who broke the news that this is where this man is. This man is on a life support. It was Sahara reporters, and that's
Mm.
when they had to rush him out of
Right.
that place and come to Nigeria because their secret was blown. When they now came back to Nigeria, that video of them landing in the airport and the turning off of the light,
At night.
it was
Yes.
Sahara reporters that broke that news. Now, Sahara reporters was the one that kept insisting that Jonathan, the vice president, should become the president. In fact, at the point it was Sahara reporters and what's this, our sister that was in charge of NAFDAC, Akunyeli. They were the
Happening.
whistleblowers that said, look, Jonathan should
Right.
take over the government. So people should
Mm.
remember that if he hated Jonathan, he wouldn't be insisting that Jonathan should be the president then. And when Jonathan became president, it
Yeah.
was like, okay, now the right thing has been done until they, like their normal nature, they are watchdogs for the government. They started also becoming a watchdog to
Yeah.
Jonathan. And what they were doing
Very
was,
true.
as they were revealing the lapses in the Jonathan administration, APC was
Yeah.
using that for their campaign. Now, he is just a player and the whole
Yeah.
thing. He was not for APC, but he was against what
Okay.
was going on. So APC was just milking it.
Yeah, no,
Now,
that government began to derail. That's
exactly.
true.
So you see what happened. So because of that, people thought that since he was against the government, he was for APC. But look at it.
Oh.
Immediately APC came into power and they started
Mm.
misbehaving. He came after them again, and that's where he has been.
Yeah.
But let's leave that for another day. Now,
Yeah, no. No, your explanation is spot on.
yes, yes. So in summary, my brother, I would like you to
Mm.
just address your people. I'll give you like 4 or 5 seconds to address your people in your own language, and then address the whole of everybody who is marginalized in Nigeria, and tell us where you think we should be heading to going forward.
Thank you very much. So, Choyantiv, Nufena Taru Nigeria Nehigana. Ko Fulani and the war you ase Kuru Yare tu Pepe Aiki Atita Kwanangwe Memga. Kakwana ya na samba gan silver together. I want Bane silver form or Irane Mafu movement against Fulani occupation right. Na ya se form kwane ase nogusia afacha wasichi wa shi government he pass a TDA. Ibu I do and then kito we so rune tom we rentom buaya uwa yamya uwe ranche uwe duwa yohe. But Fulani Babanda no ren kwana. Yangi gane kika so akane. The Yamshino be local government. But the war Europe Karutan Shimi. Pe Gumakan Jaka ko hama yangi wayo ke kwasha kwanda shara. Na ko Fulani nengu menga tiningu Bambabanda no uveren tinila. Na wane you nepa. E kwane lu yema government kwa so no wasense dia nepa wane you alwan kon kwa nelu emiku la at least nitese nepa nigba shiri nevega ya kwana uzandonga gupanga gumemenga igeni da mowe kamba majiri ama kaswa ke komba majiri shagbendo makudi lafia bageka ide yemewe pe ajire buruvala seti so ba ren ko majiri ga maka ha be ruba amkiva ha geta awasi
Asham.
mo ne shi nega nemba maji va bayirumba hiji nega one government one no dasanda one bakangen ya baru vigilante kwa one ve diva ha nemba majiri ki ile ji nga yomba ka be yan we mo chapsha ve no waga msu ne kishi
Nsu.
uh to our fellow middle belters, minorities in the middle belt and all the states in northern Nigeria. Nigeria is at a crossroads as we speak. The issues of Fulani herdsmen attacks on minority communities and settlements across this country, particularly in the middle belt and in some states in the north, is going on unabated. We need to be up and doing. We need to, as much as possible, form vigilante groups in our communities whose sole task and responsibility will be to be looking out for these Fulani herdsmen as they come in with their cattle or they come in to attack our community, so that we can raise alarm and have our people prepared, and that they are not taken unawares, and our people are killed. I want to also speak to our Igbo brothers in the southeast, and our other minority brothers and friends in the south, and our brothers in the southwest. This country sitting on the front line. And the earlier we all recognize and realize that these fault lines will definitely give way someday, the better for us. We need to be prepared. We need to agitate that this country is run on the principles of equity, fairness, and justice. At the moment, that is totally absent. And we cannot achieve this through mere agitations in radio stations, on the basis of newspapers and all that. Those of us who want this country restructured in a manner that will allow us to run our lives as a people in our different regions, in our different states, must come together and form a very forceful agenda, present a very forceful agenda that encompasses all the oppressed peoples of this country, that these are our demands. It must not be left to a few people in the southeast, in the middle belt, or the south-south and the southwest. This is a challenge for all of us. And I urge us to take this challenge very seriously. We are all witnesses to the recent influx of Almajiris all over these states in the middle belt, the south-south, the southeast, and the southwest. Through history, it has been demonstrated very clearly that we do not have anything like Almajiri in our places. It is alien to us. It is alien culture. It is alien tradition to the peoples of the Middle Belt, the peoples of the South-South, the peoples of the Southeast, and the peoples of the Southwest. My thinking and my thoughts on this issue of Almajiri is this. They are being planted across states in the country as sleeper cells that may be used in launching attacks on communities in the Middle Belt and the South-South, and the Southeast and the Southwest. We must not sleep with our eyes closed. There is an imminent danger, an existential threat that the influx and movements of these Fulani headsmen and of these Almajiris poses to our safety, our security, and our well-being. And we must come together as a people, yes, and take a collective action against these issues.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nat. Thank you very much for coming on the show and letting us know your opinions on these boiling issues. When we call you next time, please answer our call like you did today. Thank you so much, Nat, and we wish you success in all your undertakings.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, guys, so that was my interview with Nat Apir, who is a freedom fighter, a revolutionist, an activist, and we wanted to get a perspective from someone from the Middle Belt, and he has aired his views, he has shared his opinion with us, and just like we do on this platform, everybody is welcome, everybody's opinion is respected. We may not agree with all of them, we may agree with some of them, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is that we are able to present these opinions to you for you to be able to make the judgment call. And we'd like to thank all of you who stayed and who watched the interview. And if you have not subscribed, like always, make sure you subscribe and that you hit the notification bell, like always. And from all of us here in the Toronto studios of Worship Media, this is me, Dr. Chidi, on behalf of Dr. Erica, saying always that we love you. Bye-bye.